Hi guys! If you cannot tell from the title of this video, I am going to be playing Kingdom Come Deliverance soon, and I will be making a Let's Play of it. I am going to be discussing the mods that I'll be using in this video and my reasons for doing so. However, you should understand this will not be, or it's unlikely to be, a heavily modded playthrough. It's going to be more of a vanilla plus playthrough. A few things that I will want tweaking, and that's probably it. We will see as the playthrough progresses. An example of this, and the first mod I've installed, is a mod that lets me save without using save snaps. I just do not like that kind of mechanic. I've made plenty of videos on this particular subject. I don't like save systems that require the character, the in-game character, has to do something in-game or have something in-game for me to save from this menu. I don't like it. It's not something I've ever liked in other games such as Alien Isolation, and I would hate it more in an immersive RPG. It would actually break immersion for me quite a lot. It would definitely make the experience worse, and I suspect it would make the experience worse for a Let's Play for a variety of reasons that I really don't need to go into because I've talked about this to death. And no, really, seriously, if you're going to suggest you should just try it, please see my video about I don't like peanuts. That will give you all the information you need to know as to why I'm not going to be trying this. So, that's the first mod. Now, I got in game by basically skipping all the intro stuff and the initial start conversation. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I pretty much randomly pick things without listening to anything. So I don't know where I am or why I'm here, but I wanted to get outside just so that I could tweak my settings, set my keybinds, and take a quick look at the heads-up display, because that was the thing I was most worried about. However, the thing that got me straight away was the fact that the game has head bob and does not have a way to turn it off. This is slightly annoying for me. I know head bob can look kind of cool and it can look kind of realistic, but it's one of those things that if I have on and play for long periods, I will get tired, I will get nauseous, and I will... Well, basically, I won't be able to play for more than about 20 minutes without... I don't feel nauseous, I just feel uncomfortable and like I want to stop playing. I had this in Fallout 4 when wearing power armor. After a very short amount of time, I just did not enjoy the experience. I couldn't stand looking for things. I found it very hard to concentrate on looking for items whilst in power armor. It was okay out of power armor, but not in power armor because it had horrible head bob. This is not as bad. It's nowhere near as bad, but I suspect long term it's going to make the game feel bad. I already feel it just moving backwards and forwards there. It's hard to explain if you like head bob. For those of us that don't like head bob, it feels wrong. I can see the world is bobbing around, but I'm not bobbing around, so my inner ear is not moving, and my brain is just a little uncomfortable with the idea that I'm moving without moving. Difficult to explain. However, there is a mod that will disable it, which is great, but it does have a downside. As you can see, one of the great things in this game is you can see your body. I say great things in this game. It's probably a minor thing for most games, but I play a lot of Skyrim, so being able to see my feet is kind of cool, and my shadow. You really don't see them very often. You're not going to walk around like this the entire time, but it is nice to have them. So here is the game with the mod, and the head bob is gone. Nice and smooth. This is actually much more pleasant for me, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be people in the comments who will say this is more pleasant for them as viewers. So this is something that it is going to stay. I like this. The problem with it is... yeah. It would seem the way they do the head bobbing is to attach the camera to the character model's head, and the only way to disable it was to actually disable the character's animation. So yeah. Now again, you're not going to notice this if you're looking down like there, but you will if you look down there. Could be an issue. If you crouch, you can see your body move again, and there is head bob again, but that, I think, that's not so bad. You're moving a lot slower. Also, you're probably not going to spend huge amounts of time. It depends what sort of game it is. But anyway, for general traveling around, this is much more pleasant. You may have also noticed there's no shadow. That should be pretty obvious as to why it's been removed. Let's face it, if you have a shadow and the character's animation's not moving, you'll see your shadow stuck in position. It's a trade-off. I don't like this, especially since when I installed one or two other mods, I got the shadow back, so I've got to figure out why. Because the shadow ruins the immersion. You basically got a character stood like that in your shadow. So it is a trade-off. It's not perfect, but for me, as a general rule, I'll spend way more time looking like this and moving than I will looking like this. So just going to live with this. This is just one of those things that I wish game developers would add options for, and I don't understand why they don't. There are just some things all games should have as options. Head bob, motion blur, chromatic aberration. And for those of you that don't know, those three are some of the biggest culprits for people feeling nauseous or getting headaches. Chromatic aberration will actually cause eye strain in me and a lot of other people. It's something I have to turn off in games, otherwise it causes my eyes to actually get, well, basically to get strained, and that will cause nausea. And motion blur is a common one people don't like, but head bobbing is just one of those things. Chromatic aberration, I will forgive a game company for not knowing there are quite a lot of people who don't like it. But head bobbing, I'm sorry, at this point you have to know there is a large percentage of the gaming population that just does not like it, that feels nauseous. It should be an option, especially when you consider this is sort of the thing you've added. I mean, moving around like this strikes me as the starting point for this game, and then you add head bob. Soon as you're adding it, just sort of add it with an if clause. If character wants it, bob head. Otherwise, don't. I mean, this just seems like a really simple thing to implement, and it really is pretty damned important. This gives you an idea of how important it is. I will put up with this. I will put up with this rather than the head bob. That should give you some indication. And I'll tell you now, there are a lot of other people in the comments who are going to agree with me. There will be comments who say, no, I like the head bob. And that's okay. And I think games should have an option for head bob. Just should be an option so you can turn it off. Now, the next thing I realized I was going to need was a mod for the heads-up display. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's very cool. It's got a very old-school feel to it. But sometimes old school is old school for a reason. It's been replaced by something a little better. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually love the UI style here. Yes, I do. I like this. This is also old school, and I know some people would probably prefer a more modern looking one, but I think that's more a matter of taste at that point. This functions perfectly, it does what it's supposed to do, and it does have an old school feel, and I do like this. But there's a disadvantage to having an old school heads-up display, and that is it's kind of messy and in your face. Now, alright, granted, at the moment you're looking at the over. Give me a second. Okay, I've got rid of the overlay so that we can't blame the overlay for this. But as you can see, it's a little crowded with information that I probably don't actually need. And, you know, modern games now tend to be a little more, well, subtle with their heads-up display. And I like that. You know, I get it. If you like the old school thing, okay. But I'm a fan of very uncluttered heads-up displays. That should not come as a surprise to anyone who knows the mods I make. Now, this is MINIMALHUD with vanilla bars. There is actually a more advanced version of MINIMALHUD that looks a little sleeker, and I do like it, but I wanted to keep the bars pretty much as vanilla as possible at the start, because of course I don't even know what any of those bars do. So before I start tweaking them, I really want to know what they do. But what this does is it just gets rid of the background, and I think that's a massive improvement right away. That is a massive improvement immediately. I probably, once I get to know what all these bars are, will change to the version that has smaller bars. And I may even change to something called Clean HUD, and there are various other heads-up displays that all look very cool. For now, this is, I think, perfect for me. It gives me a heads-up display that has pretty much the identical information. It just gets rid of the background, and that makes such a huge difference. It still has all of the other UI elements, so I shouldn't lose any functionality. Now this is MROZAK'S HUD combined with MINIMALHUD. You can't actually see MINIMALHUD because MROZAK'S HUD hides pretty much, well, not everything. You can still see that I'm hungry, I think. I think that's what that icon means. I think it means I'm hungry. And I have a feeling the yellow part is how hungry. So it hides the health bar and the status bar unless you've been damaged or you're in combat. You can actually see it briefly if you open the menu and then close it again. It's still there. And the compass, I've got the version that hides the compass but shows it when you press a button for 3 seconds. Yes. You guys all know exactly why I love this. It seems to be compatible with pretty much all the other heads-up display mods as well, so I get the best of both worlds. The compass still is unobtrusive when I show it, and I get it for a few seconds. One other cool thing I've noticed is if I open the map and then close the map, the compass stays there for a few seconds as well, so you can you can figure out which direction you're supposed to be pointing. So this, I think, is going to be a good mod. Now, I'm hoping there are no complications, like there will be moments where I should see my health, but I don't, or I'll be in a tutorial and it should be showing and it's not, and I get all confused. I'm hoping that's not the case, because I love this. That, to me, is brilliant. I'm hoping that if I eat food, the icon will disappear. I'm pretty sure it does, actually. I'm pretty sure it does. And then this will be beautiful, except for the dot at the center. Now, I know a lot of people like those dots because it helps with motion sickness. And again, this is one of those things that I think should be an option, but it's not. Luckily, there are mods that will replace it with something that's white or grey and sort of transparent, which is a lot better. However, there is also a mod that removes it completely, and it does seem compatible with the HUD mods that I tried it with. So, this is a very nice, uncluttered heads-up display. In fact, it's pretty much no heads-up display if I can get rid of that icon. I like this. This feels nice with no head bob and a nice, uncluttered view. So this is what I'm thinking of using. This is the initial mod loadout. Obviously, with the crosshair missing, the dot missing, I may discover I need it for certain things, but I don't think so. I think it would be kind of nice if it reappeared when I looked at things, so I could I know what I'm going to interact with. But, you know, I think it's just good that it's gone. I think it's good that it's gone. Now, there may be other mods I want to try. I can imagine, for example, you see the options to eat and drop. I actually think I'd like to see those options more at the center of the screen as you do in other games, rather than having to look away to the side and then figure out. Same is true when talking to people, by the looks of things. The activation is off to the side. That is nice when you're just looking at them, but it also means when you're looking to see what options, you have to sort of glance down. Little things like that. I will consider using mods that are quality of life based, but generally speaking for gameplay, I'm not looking to change much beyond being able to save where the hell I like. So that's it. Minimal HUD changes, no save schnaps needed, and no head bob. And I think I'm ready to go. I've managed to get the game running at 60 frames a second on very high settings, but I did notice a couple of places it would drop to 60 to like, I don't know, 55 very, very briefly when I turned. So I've tweaked the settings a tiny bit in places. Some of the settings I've actually set at very high as well, and I think I've got it reasonably stable with some overhead. Of course, this is probably not a demanding place. I may have to tweak the settings somewhat later on as well, but you know, that's for another time hopefully. And that's it for this video. All that's left to do really is thank you for listening to me ramble on, and I will say this playthrough will appear on my channel once Skyrim Special Edition Chapter 2 has ended, so a few weeks away probably from when you watch this video. And don't worry, Skyrim Special Edition Chapter 3 will be coming back before KCD has ended. It will be taking the slot that is currently taken up by Vampire. So there's probably going to be about a month break in Skyrim, which is not too long. Anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble on, and I will catch you guys next time.